So you watched Nilou's basics guide yesterday, and now you're wondering how to build her for like mid to late game. So that is what we are going to do in this video. We are going to look at Nilou for a mid to late game. Now we are going to look at my Nilou, the Nilou that we are using in this video. There has been some updates since the basic video, so I do want to show that off, you know, why not? But also so that way we're just going to do like a refresher, right, for this video. So Nilou is level 90 out of 90 with 73,961 HP, attack 1,186, EM 174. Once she's finished with her dance, we are going to look at her crit split and ER. For her crit split, 17 over 112 with 104 ER. I do need to get that up a little bit. With a level 90 key. Yes, I did level 90 my key. Artifacts, 2-piece VG, 2-piece tenacity. C1, I have not gotten C2 yet. And talents 469. Now, because we talked about her talents in the basics guide, we're not really going to go over her playstyle again. But if you want to know how she works, do be sure to go check out this video. Also, I want to make a correction. In her basics guide, I said that in order to activate Bountiful Core, one of her core mechanics, you need to use your skill 4 times in a row for the last dance step to activate Bountiful Core. That was incorrect. Either versions of her skill will activate Bountiful Core. You just need to make sure that you do all of the steps to her dance. Doesn't matter which one you do, both of them will activate Bountiful Core, as long as you meet the other prerequisites. With that correction out of the way, thank you, Osa, for pointing that out to me, actually in the live stream right after the video came out. Let's go look at a traditional Bountiful Core team from Nilou. Now, in this traditional Bountiful Core team, we are going to be running double Dendro, double Hydro, because we want both of the resonances. We want Hydro Resonance to increase Nilou's HP. We want Dendro Resonance to increase the team's Elemental Mastery, because those are 2 very important stats for this team. Also in this video, instead of talking about several different teams for Nilou, we're just going to kind of do like a deeper dive into Bountiful Core as a whole, and look at some of the other characters that we're using in this party and talk about where you can kind of slot in some different things. So in this team, we are using double Hydro, double Dendro to get both of the resonances, like I said, but also notice I'm using Yao Yao and Coco, 2 healers, because Bountiful Core does do self-damage. It will damage whatever character you have on the field if they are within the blooms, the Bountiful Core's AoE. So running a doubled healer in here was also necessary for me to keep my team healthy. There are other characters that you can slot in or ways that you can kind of get around that, but having both Yao Yao and Coco, even though they are both EM built, having both of them in the team allows for me to keep the whole team healthy, because they both have team or party-wide healing. So this is a really, really good team to use double Dendro, double Hydro, double healer. Also, of course, we have Nahida, who is the Archon of Dendro, the best Dendro applicator in the game. If you don't have Yao Yao or you want to use somebody else, Baiju can be really, really good in this slot. I wouldn't use Farina. I tried to do some stuff with Farina, but she just makes your HP so low that you just die super, super fast. And you can't use her buff the same way. Save Farina for another team. Okay, I'm just going to get that right out of the gate. Save Farina for another team. Something else I want to point out, in this domain, yes, this domain does give a little bit of an EM buff. Coco's Bountiful Cores are hitting 41k. Really, really good for Bountiful Core damage, running 4-piece Flowers of Paradise Lost and an R5 level 90 Sacrax. So now let's look at the actual artifacts that we have on Nilou. So of course we are running 2-piece VG, 2-piece tenacity, and Nilou's biggest thing is getting her HP as close to 75k as you can. So having the double HP bonus 2-piece effect is really, really good. Her flower, HP percent, flat attack, flat defense, crit damage. I don't necessarily care about the flat attack, flat defense, or crit damage. I need HP. So in these substats, a really, really good one would be HP percent, flat HP, EM, ER. Those are the 4 best main stats that you can get for Nilou in a traditional Bountiful Core team. Yes, crit rate or crit damage can be fine because it's going to get up Nilou's personal damage, but the damage from the blooms is going to far outweigh that. The plume, HP percent, EM, crit damage, defense percent. If I was able to get flat HP instead of defense percent or ER instead of defense percent, I would have been very, very happy. I do wish that I had rolled into the HP more because we need a little bit more HP. I'm about 1,000 away from having that 75k goal. Unfortunately, I was just not able to reach it. Of course, for the main stats on Sans, we're going to go HP, attack, crit rate, crit damage, flat HP. If that attack had been EM or ER, perfect. Absolutely perfect artifact if that attack had been ER. Because it's not, it's more of a mwah instead of a mwah. Okay, HP percent on the goblet, of course. EM, defense, HP percent, crit rate. Again, if that defense had rolled into flat HP, that would have been amazing. That would have gotten me that 1,000 that I need if it had rolled into HP. On the circlet, HP percent, crit rate, crit damage, ER, attack. If that attack had been flat HP or EM, this would have been a artifact, okay? Beautiful. Absolutely great. We do want that ER. We do want some EM in the substats. Now we are going to go ahead and talk about weapons. Typically, I wait for the end for that. But because we're just going to be talking about Bountiful Core mainly, we are going to go ahead and discuss weapons. Now, obviously, Nilou's best weapon is Ki. The reason it's so good for her, not only the HP, but the passive. It increases your HP again, but when your elemental skill hits an opponent with a maximum of 3 stacks, then it is going to increase Nilou's EM and your team's EM based on Nilou's max HP. So we want, again, HP, but this Ki, this weapon, allows for you to turn her HP into EM after we've used her skill. And we're going to show an example of that as well. Now, before we get into what other weapons besides Ki, let's show the effect of Ki real quick. So we're going to go run over, we're going to find some enemies. We're going to look at Nilou's EM, which is 174, and Coco's EM, which is 940. We're then going to do the skill on these enemies, so that way we can get the buff. Also notice there is an on-screen indicator, this little upside down triangle next to Nilou. Once we have 3 of them, we have effectively done the passive. So Nilou's EM went from 174 to 588. Coco's EM went from 940 to 1088. So doing this buff, getting this buff for all of the characters is going to be really, really good. Now, if Nilou steals some blooms, it's okay for her to steal some of the blooms that we would rather have, in this case, Nahida or Coco want. If Nilou steals them, through Nahida's burst, through Nilou's passives, and Ki, Nilou can steal some and it be okay. Also, Nahida's EM now is over 1,200, which is insane. Now, another quick mention is that one of Nilou's passives also can increase the EM of the team as well. What we want to do is we want to let our character take damage from a bloom. If they take damage from a bloom, like Nahida did just there, then we are going to increase the EM even further. Now Nilou has 688 EM. So we get another 100 because of that passive. Now let's talk about some other weapons besides Ki. None of them are going to be as good, especially for Bountiful Core, but if you don't have Ki, you kind of have to do something else. The only other HP sword in the game is going to be Dockhand's Assistant. It is going to get HP up about half as much as Ki, a little over half, and its passive is nowhere near as good. Yes, you can use it to get some elemental mastery, but it's going to be nowhere near as good as Ki. Now, Dockhand's Assistant has only been on the banner twice, or it's only been on a weapon banner twice. So if you don't have one, that's completely understandable, right? I had to pull for keys, or for Dockhand's Assistant. Both times they were on the banner, and I was able to get 2 of them. One for Layla and one for Kirara. Now, if you don't have Ki, you don't have Dockhand's Assistant, you do have Iron Sting. This is going to get up Nilou's EM, making her more of an on-field Hydro driver versus a support for the rest of the team, but this is another really good option. You also have something like Sapwood, which is going to get up ER. It's going to give the team some EM. It's going to let her use her burst more, again, kind of allowing her to be more of a Hydro driver. So you can get this weapon as well. If not, you have like Favonius or Sacrificial. Sacrificial, in my opinion, is going to be better than Favonius because it is going to get up ER again to let her use her burst, but it's also going to reset her skill cooldown, meaning that you can get Hydro Infusion more often, being much more of an on-field Hydro driver. Still, though, if you don't have Ki or Dockhand's Assistant, Nilou's reliability is going to drop a little bit just from not having that HP. in a Bountiful Core setting. Another character that you can slot in instead of Yao Yao is going to be Kirara. She is on the banner with Nilou for a reason. Kirara can do very, very well in her Cat Box of Terror form. The problem is going to come that her shield will not be as strong if you build her EM. If you build her HP, her shield will be stronger, but her damage output from blooms is not going to be that high. So you kind of either build a hybrid, or you just go full in EM or full in shield and just know to expect less damage. Something else though is that with Kirara's shield, we lose that passive from Nilou where you have to take Dendro damage, one of the cores blowing up near you, to get the extra EM. You almost have to use her shield afterwards, after somebody takes damage from it, so that way you can still get that team-wide 100 EM from Nilou's passive. So do keep that in mind if you're going to be using Kirara instead of like Yao Yao. Okay, so one last thing that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about Vape Nilou. Vape Nilou is a much more niche, really only good in a showcase kind of way in an actual fight. Vape Nilou is not going to be good. But we're going to throw 2-piece Nymph, 2-piece Noblesse on her with Chiori Sword, and then we are going to give her food, and we're going to do a quick run of Scaramouche. Now, I did what I think was going to be fine for a rotation using Nahida, Benny, and Kazuha, but I think I messed something up in this rotation. This was just a quick one-off. I was just going to see what I could do. Having a 50% crit rate, like 50 over 240, was the crit split after food, and I was like, let's just try it. So using this kind of rotation, or using this team to try and showcase it, I was able to hit 266k with a level 9 burst. But I think I did something wrong. So I'm going to get with Doggy, who has done this and hit like 500k with his Vape Nilou. And I'm going to see what team he uses, and then I'll probably post in a short me rerunning this with that team or that rotation and see if I can improve it in any form or fashion. That is going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, do be sure to leave it down in the comments. Myself or somebody else be sure to answer it, and I'll see you in the next one.